Oh, right. So the mic wasn't working quite correctly. Then, this is the second time I tried to stream this scenario. The first time, my internet connection just said no and was dropping frames left and right, and I was like streaming 5 frames per second, which is not good. But this time there seems to be no big problem. So, recap. Previous scenario we saved the orcs of Tyrigas from the Saurians that had to flee from the Elvish Civil War. So basically my fault, and I solved the problem myself. And then afterwards I lied to their face and said, hey, the Grand Council has a mission for me, please give me a ship. And so they gave me a ship. If, on the other hand, if I had not said that, they would not have given me a ship, because we are sailing into the open ocean, something that's just not being done in this time. And we're looking for Zogtanol, the island the Queen of settled down after defeating Yechnagov. True to his word, the Orcish Lord gave us the fastest transport ship in his possession. He also provided us with an experienced crew and many select warriors, and enough provisions for months of travel across the sea. However, he adamantly refused to allow us to hear the news brought by the messenger we saved, and evaded our inquiries about what prompted the conflict between Tyrigas and the Saurians. To be fair, there is usually no reason why that sort of trivial quarrel should concern us, but the circumstances were strikingly suspicious. With Malkesha's help, I managed to pinpoint the approximate location of Zogtanol based on a faint, dark presence towards the southwest. Surely a lingering reminder of Yechnagov's power. By the time Naya appeared the next morning, we had already set sail. Never before in my entire life had I been so far from the course of the great continent, surrounded by an endless body of water brimming with all sorts of majestic and dangerous creatures. Aside from our loud crew, the occasional sight of marine beasts and small deserted isles was all there was to distract. Aside from our loud crew, the occasional sight of marine beasts and small deserted isles was all there was to distract us from the overwhelming immensity and solitude of the open ocean. In spite of its alluring beauty, the large body felt hostile and menacing to me. Does it make sense? Admittedly, words to describe the incongruous feeling elude me, even now. My fear of the ocean's mysterious nature did not let me sleep well for any single night since we left land. For much of the voyage, I stayed awake late during the long darkness, girding the deck with Malkesha, contemplating the ever-changing mood of the waves, wondering what events continued to transpire on the continent in our absence, reminiscing of the past, pondering my mistakes. After countless days, we finally reached our destination, as it was lit up by the setting suns. We carefully planned our landing, and decided that it would be best to keep the orcs and the undead waiting aboard the ship, while Gales and I contacted the elves and explained the situation to them. If they once had to survive in a wild, perilous desert, they surely wouldn't have fond memories of such creatures. Scenario 6. Queen of Isle, elves of a different land. Also, hi Discasharado. So we're gonna ignore that. This place appears to be a one, and are you sure this is the correct island? Not completely, but it's possible that the Queen of Elves just avoided these shores for some reason. Let's explore and try to find them then. And high your gender too. Time passes. Maybe we should return to the ship. I'm not really sure about going into the forest at night. It could be dangerous. Why are you hesitating now? Do you remember when we almost lost you in the caves beneath Wesnoth? I don't want to risk that occurring again. We don't know why we haven't found any elves here and... Is there something you haven't told me? Gallus, I hear something moving among the trees. Who are you and where do you come from? You don't seem to be of our kin. We are elves. There is no need to point at us with those arrows and swords either. We are clearly at a disadvantage here. You do not look or dress like our people. Is this some kind of joke? We are pretty sure we've never seen your faces on this island. They are probably imposters sent by Uriah to destroy our home. Let us explain. Arrest them! Stop! Like, I can't really do the spreading the wings part, but you see she's spreading her wings. How can you not recognize your sylvan ancestors, young girl? Have the Queen of Elves completely forgotten the history after all this time? When did you last see the essence of the forest blazing in the dark? Ooh, fairy fire. Elinia held a small fire in her hands, illuminating the surrounding with a strong azure light. The elves stared in awe at their subtle but effective display of the power of fairy. Some of them stepped back, alarmed, uncertain of what to make of the unusual situation. Oh, wait. Ah, damn it. I think I have to redo this part. Come with me. But later. So this is still part of the same story scenario. It's just basically the meeting of the elves part. Please. Okay. The elves guided us through the forest towards the mountains at the island's hearts, without saying a word to us. We knew it was best not to ask them any questions or do anything that could seem suspicious until we meet their authorities. Their clothes, armor and weapons seemed much more primitive compared to those used by Gallus' kinsmen. Apparently, much of our craft was forgotten by Queterel's group and their descendants. As we approached the more populated areas, I noticed that even their building designs were much unlike those of their ancestors. So, and yeah, I'm also glad that this and the previous scenario are not a fighting scenario with your gender. That would have also made it pretty hard to get to, well, peace talks with them. Lord Gallus, son of Calasser, we found these two strangers on the southeastern shores. They came from the northern seas, and seemed to bring the light of Elo with them. Elo? That name. No land dwellers have set foot on this island for a long time. The last recorded landing was centuries ago, when our own king came here seeking a new home. They made sure no one was left behind on the continent. Tell us, who are you? Sir, I am Gallus, son of Alfir, and this is Elinia, daughter of Deniath Azel. You bear strong resemblance to us. Spread your wings, Elinia. Albeit unusually pale, your face is that of an elf. But your clothes and your wings, they are very unlike our own. Where do you come from? From the great continent. From the region we call the far north, beyond the tall half mountains that grasp the sky and gird the green lands. There, the sun's light has not been enough to burn those beautiful forests forever. We are different to you indeed. We are forest elves, and we've come to seek your help against the great evil that has befallen earlier. Forest elves? How's that possible? The last our people saw of the great continent were vast deserts plagued with few orcs, necromancers, and human barbarians. There's no green life left on it anymore. Just want to point out that when the Queen of went, what's it called? Freed the Merfolk, they did see some green life. So just give me a moment to report it. What he might, it might not be a mistake, but I'd rather point it out. Maybe your people didn't travel far enough. Most of the central region fits your description, but there are a few secluded valleys where life has continued to thrive, and the far north is vast enough to allow both humans and orcs to live relatively at peace with each other. That is Kalisar, the Blade of Elo destroyed the dark force that once reigned over Erdia and attempted to erase the last remnants of our kind. What new foe threatens to put an end to our peace now, daughter of the forests? The creature slain by his hand was but a servant of a far greater power. The fight is not over yet, and although we have recently vanquished another minion of hers, the influence she exerts on this world remains as strong as ever. I realize that this may sound overly dramatic, but I speak the truth, for I am the Slayer of Zangor, and Elo guided me to you in this era because you have the missing page of our civilization's history. Kalisar fought Yechnagov, the Eater of Souls, and defeated her on this island nearly 4 centuries ago. The enemy we face now is none other than Uria, who has amassed an empire of human followers on the great continent. Even now as we speak, they work with the forces of Inferno and the unspeakable creations to destroy all that is left in this world. The elves were aghast by the mention of the 3 accursed names. They eyed each other nervously, as though they feared that rocks would fall from the sky in response to the bold revelation. I cannot do miracles. If you need more proof of our claims, at the end of the previous era, you were sent by Elo to protect Elvenkind from the Demon Lord. Now you have returned to us to protect all Erdia from the fallen goddess. Belinia, the power you wield has not been seen by our foe for eons. As much of our forefathers' knowledge perished with them when the spawn of Uriel destroyed their forests. You are a rare gem among the entire elvish civilization, and we have no reason to distrust you. We listened to the call of our forest ancestors, and we agree to help you. Don't we all? What kind of help do you need? Necromancy is the least of evils now that Uriel's minions plague you the great continent. In our long journey to this island, we have not only been assisted by the orcs of the far north, but also by a Lich who helped us defeat the Chaos Emperor. We will need his help here, so I request that we are allowed to bring our orcish and undead allies to this island. That request is very improper for an elf, to say the least. You surely understand why we can't. It is true that many necromancers have worked together with Uriel's minions to bring doom to the natural inhabitants of the continent, including our own ancestors. But it's also true that knowing whether a creature walks the path of light or the path of darkness does not suffice to distinguish evil from good. As for the orcs, they have been our allies even in the past, back when there was only one sun, and all elves lived in the forests of Urier. We shall allow the orcs and the undead to come to assist you once you tell us exactly what you are going to do. But beware that our warriors and priests are ready to take care of them should they do anything suspicious. We require access to the place where Yechnagov was destroyed. Nice. I like the art direction. So this is the next scenario, so I'm gonna cut the stream for like 4 minutes, and then I'll be back to the next fighting scenario. Afterwards, there will be one more story scenario which ties into the battle scenario, and then I'm gonna make a cut for the day. So first of all, see you in 4 minutes.